You gotta keep them separated.
Oh, we're not keep them separated. Does that have to do with man spreading? I mean,
well, we were just talking. Tom Hanks got busted.
Tom Hanks?
Not by the cops.
He was man spreading?
He was man spreading, and somebody took a picture and put it on the internet.
It sounds so filthy. I mean,
it does.
But it's actually just something really kind of
innocuous.
Yeah, it's innocuous and harmless.
Not so, though. If you get caught doing it, they'll fine you. And a couple of people got arrested, you were saying?
2 people got arrested yesterday in a half-crowded subway for man-spreading.
Man-spreading. It reminds me, did you ever see that episode of Seinfeld where he's on the subway and he falls asleep and he wakes up and the guy sitting across from him has taken all his clothes off and he's sitting there reading the newspaper? No. It's like this big, rotund, fat guy, you know. That's what I think of when you talk about man-spreading.
Well, in the meantime, the murder rate is skyrocketing.
Yeah.
You know, and so the cops are arresting people and citing 1,400 people for this. And
to be honest with you, I don't blame the cops one bit, right? You know, because if they go try to actually tackle the real criminals, they'll get thrown in jail their own selves.
That could happen.
Yeah. David, you grew up here in Central Florida, didn't you?
Yeah, it's my home. And I actually grew up in East Orlando, out in the Union Park area.
Did you go to Colonial High School?
Actually, I was bused. That was back in the day. It was in the late 70s.
Yeah.
And
desegregation.
Desegregation was going on, and they decided that a bunch of poor hicks needed to go to Winter Park High School.
Is that
or
right?
something? I don't know. So everybody on my side of the street, which I guess was the wrong side back then,
right.
I don't know,
had
to go to, we had to take a bus. I could have walked to Colonial High School, but we got bused all the way to Winter Park High School.
Is that right? Now, did you played football there, didn't you?
I played baseball.
You played baseball?
Yeah.
Coach Wright?
So, what's that?
Was it Coach Wright?
Yes, Coach Wright.
Yeah.
The baseball coach out there.
Yeah, I went to Winter Park High School. Yeah.
Son of a gun. Yeah.
So
I graduated.
I took a few weightlifting classes. That's why I look so buff. But in my mirrors and my dreams, I do anyway. But Coach Wright was one of my.
I forgot the name.
Yeah. And Coach Gurgley.
Gurgley, yeah. Gurgley was the weightlifting coach.
And the football coach.
Football coach. Yeah,
out there. Yeah, and I didn't know at the time that he played for the Orlando Panthers. You remember the Orlando Panthers, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Coach Gurgley. I mean, he had the right name, right? Like a burly, burly guy.
Gurgley, yeah. So you've been in Central Florida all your life?
All my life. Well, I was in the military.
What branch?
Air Force.
Okay.
Spent 4 years in the Air Force.
Is that where you met your wife?
That is not where I met my wife. I spent 4 years in the Air Force. I was stationed in California. I got to stay there my whole tour, which was just wonderful, actually. This mid-California coast at Vandenberg Air Force Base. We were actually gearing up for the space shuttle. And I was a telephone tech in the Air Force, and we did the telephone work for General Dynamics, McDonnell Douglas, all these companies that were on base.
Right.
And at that time, we were spending $1 million a day just on space shuttle operations, because they were going to launch the space shuttle from there, and they never did.
Right.
But they did. They had the landing strip there, which I think they did one landing of a space shuttle there.
Is that right?
And that's it. But anyhow, so after the Air Force, I came back home and got on with a wonderful telephone company at Nortel Networks. They actually replaced the big phone system at the base I was stationed at, and I was so impressed with the hard work and the amount of fun these guys had when they were doing their job, that I thought I want a job with that company. So when I got back, I got a job with them. I ended up in Martin Marietta, Lockheed Martin today. I was out there installing phones and fixing stuff. Nortel had a contract with them. The company had a project coming up in Washington, D.C. with the Department of Transportation. We won that contract, and they were recruiting people within the company to move to D.C. to help install that system and later on maintain it. And so I thought, well, I'll volunteer to go do that. So I did, and lived there for 1 year, spent the whole year trying to get out of the area. Did not like it at all. But the gem there was meeting my wife. That's where I met my wife.
I see.
So we lived in Fairfax, Virginia. I lived in
children.
I had 2 boys I was raising by myself.
I see.
And I had them up there with me, and I lived in a.
So you're a single father with
father.
kids.
So 2 kids.
Yeah.
2 kids. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, well, listen, we're going to have to take a break, but when we come back, David's going to stay with us. We're going to have David Smith, retired Marine Colonel David Smith, coming to us somewhere from the other side of the planet, literally speaking, and we've got a lot to talk to him about. And we still have a lot to talk to you about, too, folks. So if you want to be a part of the conversation, you can just give us a call. In the meantime, don't forget, you are listening to the American Adversaries, and we would love for you to come out to Cafe Positano on June 22nd and help us celebrate going from 1 hour drive time to 2 hours drive time, prime time show, Monday through Friday. And we will be here right up to 7 o'clock tonight. The Rays play later on the West Coast, so don't go away.